what is it? Miss Diaspora Nigeria, USA. It's a beauty pageant, a cultural event. I thought it was fun to watch. It celebrates the Nigerian heritage, which I love, and the diaspora community in the U.S. Now, this provides a platform for talented, accomplished Nigerian women who live in the U.S. to showcase their culture, their intelligence, community involvement. I thought this was so beautiful because I can imagine how, difficult it might be sometimes, like just wanting to just feel like you're at home or get back to your roots. Well, that's what the pageant is helping a lot of women in the U.S. do. Now, speaking for Miss Diaspora Nigeria USA 2023, Brittany Aikhuele, she is a first-generation American with very deep Nigerian roots, and she joins me on Arise 360 right now. Brittany, it's great to have you on the show from our Lagos studio. How are you feeling today?
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. You can also refer to me as Edeifo.
Edeifo, fantastic. Did I get your last name correctly? Do you want to help me just pronounce your name in full?
Aikhuele. I think you did a pretty good job.
I mean, like, what can I say? I think I'm not doing so bad with the names. Now, Brittany, I was just talking about, I think today, if I was going to make my show today have a theme, I would just say I am the voice of pushing the Nigerian heritage forward, because just as I was discussing about the Grammys, pageantry is another space that we could definitely use as a platform to celebrate the diversity and the colorful nature of our culture here in Nigeria. So walk me through how Miss Diaspora Nigeria USA is doing this in the US.
Yeah, so this pageant is so important to me, so important to the Nigerian girls in diaspora and Nigerians here, because we are empowering Nigerian women to evolve. Growing up as a child, I didn't really have, much figures around me that looked like me, that embrace my culture and my heritage. Because a lot of times, people would see my name, Edeifo, and I used to be made fun of. So when I heard about this pageant, I was like, sign me up. I've never done a pageant before in my life. So I was like, this is a thing that I can use as a platform to promote, my culture, really step into my power and not be that shy little girl anymore.
I love that for you, 1000%, especially because I find that in the US, there are a lot of, girls like yourself, or women, well, now girls who eventually will become women, who have the same, they're American, they have Nigerian roots, but there's this mini confusion, and I call it a mini confusion because it's like you're split between I am American and I'm here, and I have to, they say when you're in Rome, behave like the Romans, so you adapt to the culture and the narrative, but then you also do not want to forget your roots, which is something that is happening on a rapid pace. So how important is it to have spaces like this where young Nigerian girls can go to and feel like, yes, my culture is being celebrated, so it's important for me to not forget what that culture is?
Yeah, so I would actually like to share, during the pageant, one of the categories we had was a talent show. So what I did, I formed a poem, I did spoken word, and I sang, and it was initially about my name, and it was about my experience growing up in, my white suburban neighborhood, and really just people making fun of my, my African name, my heritage, and all that. And I was so shy to a point where people were bullying me to a point where I just wanted to minimize as much as possible. I wanted to shake my culture just to be American, be Brittany. There's this two identities that we have. But when I really realized is that what was important is that when I would come home and visit, it was strengthening my bond with Nigeria, playing with my cousins, being with my family in the village. So I realized how beautiful my culture is and how much pride we should have. It's not because I didn't love my culture, it's just because they didn't understand it. And that was their culture shock. So with this pageant, it was so important for me to do it because now we have this platform to showcase our different heritage, showcase our names, showcase our talents, and really just take our pageant, inspire little girls to realize that don't hide. You don't have to hide anymore. Stand your ground in your power.
I love that. Well, you're working on a couple of projects right now. I saw you with the kids, and I think that clip really stood out to me because I see you talking to them, and it made me so happy because they looked so attentive. Talk to me about that.
So yeah, I'm actually working with like one foundation, the Special Foundation, that's focused on children's education. So I visited 2 schools. One of them was in Ikota Roy Deck Academy, the New Liberty School, and the other one was in Makoko Roy Deck Academy. And just working with these charities, like it's just amazing because I was able to like just see all these kids, inspire them. We had a bunch of school supplies, toys that we gave out, and like I taught them how to catwalk because their life can be hard. Like they don't really know what's next for them, but just being there in class, being there like in school helps them so much to realize that you can dream big. Every child deserves to dream, So it was just amazing just being there and really just working with them. And like, I think education is a beacon of hope and we build better leaders tomorrow.
1000%. Now, unfortunately, I would say that everyone is not a pageant queen. And I wish we had more pageant girls out there because it feels like, there's so many people who want to do what you do, but the only space that really makes it, I don't know if easy is the right word, easy to do, which is reaching out to these communities that need help is through pageants, because with pageantry there's always a charity angle to it. But if there are other girls watching and they're like, oh, I love what you're doing, especially with the charity, but I'm not a pageant girl, what would you say to them?
Volunteer. You don't have to be a pageant girl. You don't have to be wanting to be in that industry. Just help out with like any local communities that need help. You can do things individually on your own, or you can work with an organization. Because really for me personally, like I want to partner with as much like organizations as possible that aligns with our values. So that way little girls here, maybe if they don't want to do a pageant or they do, they can compete in a local pageant. And then like now they can go international and compete to be the next Miss Diaspora Nigeria USA. So at the end of the day, you don't have to, like I was not a pageant girl. This was actually my first pageant, So like you can always pivot anytime in life and you can always change your direction regardless of where you come from.
I love that. And I think that's the best way to end this conversation. Thank you so much for joining me on the show and good luck with everything else you're doing while you're here.